boxing,
beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Okay, I'm asking politely, would you please have a look at this Mike McCallum Tribute video? The views it's got, to me, doesn't represent the greatness of the fighter, and I never normally ask for favours like this for you guys to view videos, but it's not much to ask for.
boxing,
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
So Teofimo Lopez wanted to fight Devin Haney at 140. Devin obviously can't make 140. Teo obviously acknowledging he'll be disadvantaged by Devin, the naturally bigger man, at 147. The compromise with 145. Teofimo still hasn't signed for the fight. Now, people are asking, well, if you're going to fight Boots at 147, why won't you fight Devin at 147? Well, Devin has no straps at 147. Devin's reputation has took a bit of a hit, even though he was cheated on in the loss that was turned to a no contest against Ryan Garcia. Devin's last performance wasn't exhilarating against Jose Ramirez. So it's a risk-reward thing. Yeah, of course Teo would gamble to get 2 belts of Boots, the unbeaten Boots, one of the hottest commodities in the game. But fighting Devin at 147, if he was to lose, which I think he would, and at 145, I think he'd lose. The media and the fans are not going to look favourably at Teo, and they know this. If he fights Boots and catches hands, and he gives it a decent effort, the fans ain't going to look down on him. His reputation won't take the hit like getting beaten by feather-fisted Dev the runner. And this is basically the prototype case of risk-reward. Devin at 147 is going to be a fully replenished fighter. Boots, on the other hand, his struggles on the scales at 147 have been well documented. So yes, Teo was trying to take advantage of that and perhaps catch Boots at the right time. But Devin, there's no straps to gain, and he's going to be strong at the weight, as opposed to Boots, who has to be eyeing a move up to 154 if he can't get none of these unifications. Unfortunately for Teo, Boots didn't want the fight, and he's getting a reputation of being someone hard to work with. And in all truth, fair enough you call out Boots, but his form hasn't been inspiring like that. It's not a fight that critics, the fans, are going to crucify Boots for not taking. And I'm not sure if Turkey can take too much more of Teo. I'm not even sure if Bob Arum can. There was also a rumour that Teo didn't want to fight in Saudi Arabia, believing he couldn't get a decision out there. Make of that what you may.
boxing,
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Bloodbath is what it was, bloodbath, when Tsyzu bled out and lost his WBO title in the unification against Fundora last March. July the 19th, co-main event, they'll do it again.
Shall we do it again? Yeah!
Fundora 22, 1-1, 14 inside the distance. Tsyzu 25-2, 18 inside the limit. Tsyzu said this time around he'll have an 8-week camp, or 10-week camp, to get his tactics right. Last time out, Fundora came in at short notice to replace Keith Thurman, who got injured. He was supposed to challenge Tsyzu for that WBO strap. Now, I'm not going to repeat what I think of the management of Tsyzu's career, but anyone who would pull in a 6'6" string bean with an 80-inch reach at 2 weeks' notice against their unbeaten commodity is an idiot. I don't want to hear about Tim is brave and he saved the show. I don't want to hear that shit. It was a stupid decision. Not for me, the spectator. It was a great decision for me, who don't like seeing blood fly everywhere in what was a toe-to-toe battle. But for Tim, reckless management. I mean, in the next fight, they threw him in there with this Bakram Martazeliev guy and he got destroyed. Do I believe that Tim's team did a thorough background check on what this guy's capable of? No, they didn't. Psychological scars were still imprinted in his head when he started touching his head to see if he was cut. Obviously getting a flashback to when, I believe, an elbow against Fundora led him to bleed out. And it was quite horrific how much he bled out.
Left laying there bleeding out.
Since then, he punched up Joey Spencer for a round stoppage. Here's the thing though. I think he's capable of beating Fundora, but I believe it's going to be just as tough, perhaps even tougher. I think since then, Fundora probably matured a little more. It's hard to tell if he's made any vast improvements because we've only seen him stop an opponent named Booker in all that time since the Tsyzu fight. He was supposed to fight Terence Crawford, he was supposed to fight Errol Spence, he was supposed to do this, do that. And the only fight that materialized for Fundora was this kid named Booker. And it was easy work. I don't think Tsyzu can make that many adjustments, full camp, short notice, to take on someone like Fundora and guarantee victory. You can never guarantee victory, but we've seen Brian Mendoza take Fundora out, who Tim's outpointed. Those styles make fights. That 10-inch reach advantage that Fundora has is going to be an issue. 80-inch reach for a 154-pounder? His last opponent, Booker, may not have been up to all that, but we did see Fundora making use of the range and reach more effectively than we've seen him previously. That alone can be big issues for Tsyzu, and for any 154-pounder for that matter. I'd have much preferred seeing Fundora unify the straps against Martazeliev, to be honest with you. The boxing beats and rhymes pick is Fundora to repeat the win again.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Well, we know the obvious difference, though, is when boxing. The obscenity at the last Olympics of watching two men punching women in the face. One woman literally going, I'm putting my gloves up, it's not worth the risk, and my chances of being permanently hurt. Imane Khelif, the Algerian boxer who won a gold medal. These sex test results from the 2023 World Championships have finally been published for the first time. Oh, what a surprise, as you can just see from looking at him, biologically male. A lot of the controversy of this, he wasn't trans, but he was intersex, or that he had been raised as a girl. But this is incontrovertible. He's a man.
When I reach the finish line, young black male.
So what's today's mathematic, God? It's called 5-ARD, alpha reductase deficiency, a genetic condition where the enzyme 5-alpha reductase 2 is deficient or absent, leading to the lack of conversion of testosterone to dihydrotestosterone. This deficiency affects male sexual development, resulting in ambiguous or incomplete developed genitalia. The condition is inherited in an autosomal recessive manner. And it's a condition that is mainly found in Africa. Like one of the first mainstream cases of this was Caster Semenya, South Africa. But Imane Khelif from Algeria is also subject to this condition. And if these athletes were born in the West, in the UK, they would have been blood tested and the testosterone levels would have certificated them as males. So when people are saying that Imane was raised as a girl, the question is, why was she raised as a girl? But it's a question that needs to be asked. It's an uncomfortable discussion, not a pleasant one. But it's not one that those who take issue with biological males beating up on women in a boxing ring should shy away from. Now, is there an agenda in certain parts of Africa where babies are born with this condition? They're turning a blind eye to the facts and raising these children as girls so they can perhaps become athletes and dominate on the track or in the boxing ring. Why would they do that? Because they can get sponsorship endorsements and there's money to be made from it. But they go through puberty just like boys. They know they're not girls because they do not have periods. Me personally, I hope we can draw a line under this. I tell you what, Imane was talking about getting a contract with one of the major boxing promoters and turning pro. I'll tell you this now, anyone taking my subscription right now was to dare put that on television as part of my subscription, I'm out. It's obvious why there isn't an issue for women who are transitioning into what they consider male, trying to enter men's sports. Because it doesn't work going the other way, does it? The women's world records at sprinting, middle distance, high jump records, the power they can generate in their punches would have no effect on elite competition, amateur or professional, amongst men. Yeah, there are some cases where women want to compete with men, but generally, they know they're at a disadvantage. So when you run it back the other way, when biological men want to compete with women in such numbers as we're witnessing, it's because they know they have an advantage. And I understand people want to empathize and sympathize with what's going on in the world currently. You can't be that naive. Painting the Algerian individual as this innocent victim amongst the horrid patriarchy, when he, Imane, knows full well what he's doing. A lot of people think that everyone's jumping on the bandwagon last year at the Olympics But no, look, there's people who have hijacked this topic for their ulterior motives, knowing full well that many of these athletes are biological males. They've known this for a long time. But these athletes have been pushed through to fight women, and while they may wanted to compete, they've been used indirectly and may not know this. These people knew that they were going to vote that these athletes are biological males because it's been proven a long time ago, before the Olympics, a long time ago. The tests are empirical proof that they're biological males.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
So Dillian White will not appear on the bill on Saturday at Portman Road. We were waiting for the to be announced, waiting and it never came. Frank Warren said August. He's going to jump straight into a big fight, and I assume that's Lawrence Okoli in August. Hasn't really jumped off for Lawrence or Dillian at Queensbury. They're both pulled out of the heavy impact card. Let's hope they both can get it together by August.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
Josh Kelly, he's on Channel 5 this Friday. Josh is now 16-1-1 with 8 inside the distance. He takes on Flavius Beer. 24 wins, 1 loss, 12 inside the distance. He's from Romania. Josh is now 31 years of age, and his nickname is Pretty Boy. Well, the boy phase has about run its course. Adam Booth has been working with Josh for a while now, and we're not really seeing the results. Not my favourite fighter to watch, I have to admit that. I mean, last year he scraped past the inexperienced Ishmael Davis in a fight that I thought should have been scored a draw. That was on Riyadh season. And when Sergei Boyachuk needed an opponent, they called up Ishmael Davis. Although Josh was cut, so his cut might not have been healed. But they haven't invited him back. The fight got horrible reviews, and it was because of Josh. There has not been a career-defining performance from Josh Kelly as yet. There hasn't been. He wants Conor Benn. He wants EUBANK. He wants to fight for world titles. Is it just wasted potential, or was he just not that good? Let's see if he can make me eat crow, starting from this Friday. I'm not going to lie, yo. The card is grim. I glimpsed through the undercard and I saw Matty Harris and Steve Garber. Matty was the only name I recognised. And it makes you think of terrestrial television, the glory days of ITV and BBC bringing the best domestic and overseas action. But this card looked grim. It looked grim. I can't lie. If you got a subscription for DAZN, GBM is supposed to be second tier to Matchroom and Queensbury. The GBM cards are way better than this card on Channel 5, promoted by the Southlands. Way better. Maybe there's some good fighters on there I've never heard of on the come up, so that might be something to look for. HARLEM EUBANK, he's a Channel 5 fighter. He's fighting on DAZN next, on a Matchroom card against Jack Carroll. Now, if he can shine, he might be the flagship player that Channel 5 are badly in need of. Because I don't think Josh Kelly is that guy. I believe HARLEM EUBANK has more potential than Josh Kelly.
Boxing.
Beats and rhymes.
No one can do it better.
A lot of boxing and some good fighters are going under the radar. Like there's a unification this Sunday. Junto Nakatani, who's being touted as a future opponent for Nayo Inoue. The power punching Nakatani has 30 wins, 23 inside the distance, 27 years of age. He takes on Ryosuke Nishida, 10 wins, 2 stoppages. He brings the IBF World Bantamweight title in this unification. Junto is the WBC champion. That's on Sunday. I'm going to have to work out the scheduling for that one. It's on ESPN. I'll also have to work out the scheduling for Jai Opetiai when he takes on Claudio Squeo, the Italian, who's built like a brick-ish house. He has a record of 17-0, 9 inside the distance. Jai Opetiai, coming off 2 stoppage victories, took out Jack Massey last October. And this year he took out the undefeated David Naika at the Gold Coast Convention Centre, Broad Beach. Jai waiting for them unifications against the likes of Badu Jack and Zerdo Ramirez. Seems like he's waiting forever. His fight's gone under the radar because of the volume of traffic at the zone. Like, from what I'm seeing, more people are talking about Fabio Wardley versus Justice Hooney than the cruiserweight champion Jai Opetiai. I don't know much about the Italian he's facing, but I'll definitely be watching. And if Jai is successful, how long can he be denied? No one's gave him the opportunity to unify. Chris Billion-Smith, Zerdo stalling, the other guy who lost to Badu Jack the other week, Noel Gerber, He never called out Jai. Don't know what bad he was doing. So another packed weekend of boxing from Saturday to Sunday. Friday, if you include Josh Kelly.
I don't think so.
Boxing,
Beats and rhymes.
no one can do it better.